Welcome everyone to another live stream with me, Professor Heather Austin. I'm super excited to see you guys in the chat. I'm super excited to go through today's topic with you. We are going to cover a lot of information. We're going to jump right into the content. Make sure you say hello in the chat. I see so many of you here from all across the globe. In fact, I see that it's midnight for some of you. Thanks for tuning in to the live stream. If you can hear me, okay, hit the thumbs up button down below so that I know the audio is coming through and that you can see me. Sometimes I have nightmares that technical problems are going to happen. So I want to make sure that you guys can see me okay. I'm going to say hello to you guys that are here. It looks like we had a lot of you jump in early. Ryan is here. Hello, Ryan. Rita is here. Linda, I'm so happy you're here. I can't wait to chat with you later this month or next month. We have some calls coming up. Scott is here. So happy to see you. Angela is here. Corinne is here. Monica, Denise. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to see you guys. There's so many of you here. Thanks for jumping into the chat early. If you have ever been on a live stream with me, you know that we cover a lot of content. So I want you to get ready to take notes. I want you to get your favorite pencil out, your favorite notepad, unless you're driving or listening to this on the road. Take notes on your computer. Wherever you can take notes, take notes. I have a special live webinar for you today. We are talking about the 5-step system to help you stand out and get hired using LinkedIn. Now, I have to throw a shout out to all the members in the Career Club who decided on this topic, by the way, and who decided on the agenda. So if you have not yet joined us inside of the Career Club on Facebook, it's my free private community where we work together as a group to help you with some of your biggest career challenges. So we have the most supportive, amazing community in there. I think we're close to 8,000 or 9,000 members in that group. These people in that group decided on this topic and decided on the agenda. So this is what their biggest struggle was right now. This is what we're covering. And that's why I'm here today doing this on YouTube. Again, hit the thumbs up button. Tell me in the chat where you are joining us from today. Let me mention too, before I jump into the content, Tori is here. She is my team member. She's here moderating the chat. She's also here taking your questions. So she has a document ready for me. If you have a question, make sure you put a question mark in front of your question or put in big caps question. Tori will grab it and she'll pop it in front of me. I will try and answer as many questions as I can today. We have so much to cover. I'm blown away. Normally we break this up into a 3-day session, but I jam-packed it into one session today because I want to give you all the resources and all the tools that you need. So happy to see you guys. Love that you're still saying hello. We have Jamaica in the house. Canada's here. Wanda, so happy to see you. We have someone here from India. Veronica's here from Houston. Colombia. Hello, Edwin. So happy to see you guys. Maryland's in the house. London's in the house. Awesome. Okay, you guys, also at the end of this presentation today, we are doing LinkedIn profile review. So I'm going to be pulling up a group of profiles and I'm actually going to be walking through what they're doing really well with their profile and what they're not doing so well. So tune in for that. And then I have a very special offer for you. We just opened doors for a very special VIP enrollment. This is a very limited time, 5-day enrollment period, I believe is what it is, for you to jump into LinkedIn profile perfection. I'll tell you more about that as we go, but today you are going to learn a lot. So let's jump into it. Again, get questions ready. I use slides because I'm a very visual person. If I can see it in a picture and I can see what I need to do, I take action. If you just tell me, I get lost and confused and I don't even remember what you said. So again, I love to use slides because that's kind of my learning style. So today, the 5-step system to stand out and get hired using LinkedIn. And by the way, I asked you guys a lot of questions during this presentation. So if you're shy and you've not yet jumped into the chat to comment to me, I will be asking a lot of questions as we go through the presentation. So get ready to type in your responses to the questions that I'm about to ask you. So again, before we get started, put your phone on Do Not Disturb. Again, my mom likes to call me during my presentations. So I'm going to put that, make sure that my ringer is off, close any unnecessary tabs that you have open, grab a pen and a notepad. This is your time. I don't want you to be disturbed because we have so much to cover. I don't want you to miss a beat here. We have a lot of good, fantastic tips. Now, my first question for you. Tell me in the chat, how would you rate your LinkedIn profile on a scale of 1 to 10? So 1 being your profile definitely needs some work. 10 being you've got a fantastic profile and it's exactly where you want it to be. Give me in the chat on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your profile? And I want to share with you guys a couple of results and success stories from others that have attended this presentation or a similar presentation when we talked about LinkedIn. Lori mentioned that her biggest takeaway from the presentation is that the platform is enormous and there's such a great untapped potential and power. She says, I have fully grasped in the past and I really need to put the work into optimizing my profile, which by the way, we are going to cover. Charlie says, can I give 2 takeaways that I love? She says, I really need to network more, which we're going to talk about that. And then she says, I love the idea of thought leadership, which we're also going to talk about today. Antonio says, I got interviewed today and got hired on the spot thanks to this video, believe it or not. Randy says, LinkedIn is where all the professionals are. Yep, that's us. Lisa says, I've been watching your other videos. Thank you. They were a big help. I got the offer I wanted this Monday. So again, these are people that have watched this a presentation similar to this in the past, and they are getting results. Ken says, as a university career advisor, I'm learning so much and referring our students to you. He says, when they need more than I can give or more than I know. He says, thanks for all that you do for us. And then Steven says, success in job search. I reached out to someone I didn't know very well, which I'm going to give you some action steps today so you can do this as well. And he says, I haven't had contact with in years. He put me in contact with an amazing recruiter. He says, so you never know. So let me tell you guys a little bit about who I am. If we've never met before, my name's Heather Austin. Career strategy is my passion. I'm a career strategy expert. I have actually been a university professor for the past 15 years, recently turned entrepreneur. My number one goal is to help you find your dream job so that you can grow in a field you love. Now, I want to see, before we jump into all the amazing content, where you guys are rating your profile. I see some 7s. This is good. I see a lot of 2s and a lot of 3s. Peter says a 4. Judy says a 10. Awesome, Judy. I would love to know in the comments, what do you think stands out most about your profile? Tell me in the comments down below. Let's see. Jennifer says a 6. Mike says a 7. Okay, good. We kind of have all across the board. I see a few 1s. We're going to make sure we talk a lot about this and how you can make your profile better. Now, you guys might probably have learned or known about me from YouTube. If you go to YouTube and you were to type just LinkedIn into the search bar, my video pops up at the very top, or one of my videos. I have a lot of videos about LinkedIn out there, but if you were to type LinkedIn, one of my videos will pop up. My video's even showing up above the LinkedIn channel on YouTube. So again, that's probably where most of you have learned about me. Now, if you stick around until the end, I have a very special bonus for you where you can learn where to get a free LinkedIn profile review from me. Now, I'm going to be doing a few profile reviews at the end of this presentation today, but if you stick around until the end, you'll learn where you can get a free profile review from me. Now, I have my second question for you in the chat. What's your number one challenge when it comes to LinkedIn? Okay, and we've had hundreds of emails over the past couple of days with us promoting this event. So I kind of have a feeling of what most of your struggles are, but I want you to type in what's your number one challenge when it comes to using LinkedIn. And while you're typing that in, does this sound like you? You're not sure how to navigate LinkedIn or what to do with your account. LinkedIn is very complex and you wish it was more user-friendly. Or maybe it's just been years since you created your LinkedIn account and you haven't done anything with it. Or maybe you're just uncertain how to make your LinkedIn profile better. So you know that you want to sell your skills and your experience, but you're uncomfortable writing about yourself. Now, you know that LinkedIn is a super large community and it's just hard to convey who you are in a professional manner. Or maybe you're just not sure who you should and shouldn't connect with. You might want to make meaningful, high quality connections, but you just don't want all that spam. Am I right? Or maybe you're in the situation where you just can't find the right people or they won't accept your connection request. So let me see what you guys are typing into the chat. Someone says everything Zach said, showcasing your work. Yes, Paven says no response from recruiters. We're actually going to cover that too today. Everything that you guys are typing in, we are pretty much going to hit on some point to that. Kimberly says everything, never knew how to use the platform. Denise says need a modern summary and need to figure out how often to post. I'm totally going to be covering all that. I'm so excited to share this with you guys. If you can't tell, I am a teacher and I love to teach. So I also want to ask you, I want to see a 1, 2, or 3 in the chat. Why are you here today? Are you here because you want to build a strong personal brand? So give me a 1 in the chat if that sounds like you. Give me a 2 in the chat if you want to network and connect with the right people. Give me a 3 in the chat if you're here because you want to use LinkedIn as a job search tool. So 1, 2, or 3. And hey, it might be a combination of all 3 of these. So you could write 1, 2, and 3. So give me a 1, 2, or 3 why you are here today. Now, let's talk about what we're going to learn because we are going to cover a lot. I'm going to try and go through this as quickly as possible. First thing we're going to do is how to create a marketable LinkedIn profile, even if you're making a career transition. I know I have a lot of career switchers out there. We're going to talk about how to write a standout summary that captures your strengths and achievements and tells your career story. We're also going to talk about how to build meaningful relationships, okay, and network on LinkedIn without seeming too forward. We're going to talk about how to post engaging content. So a lot of you mentioned content that puts you at the forefront of your industry. And then finally, we're going to talk about how to get recruiters and hiring managers to come to you and finally stop getting ghosted. So I'm seeing a lot of 1s and 2s, a lot of 1, 2s and 3s, some 1s and 3s. Carla says all of it, Heather. I get it. Yes, this is... We have been collecting data the last couple of days, and a lot of you have been telling me what your biggest struggles are with LinkedIn. And just so you know, this presentation is tailored just to you. It's tailored just to you and what your biggest challenges are. So we're going to cover all this good stuff. Before I get into the nitty gritty, so those 5 tips, or those 5 steps, I want to share my background story so you understand where I'm coming from when it comes to using LinkedIn and me being a career strategy expert. So when I first started using the platform, I was super confused. I was super overwhelmed. I didn't know what to do to stand out from everyone else. And I certainly didn't know how to network properly. That was really confusing to me. I was also embarrassed to put myself out there. I was super worried what others would think of me, especially my coworkers, my bosses, my previous bosses. I just was having a hard time putting myself out there. In fact, this emoji sums up how I felt about LinkedIn. So let me know, give me a yes if this emoji sums up how you feel about LinkedIn. Give me a yes in the chat. I was sad, I was overwhelmed, I was confused, I was super frustrated. So a few years ago, I was actually in a position that I loved. It was a position that I thought I was going to be in for a really long time. I was teaching others how to build their personal brand so that they could find their dream job. In fact, here's a couple of pictures of me. These are my coworkers, the top pictures of my coworkers and I. We had an 80s party that we threw. Little did we know, half of us were on the chopping block at this time. The picture on the right is me sitting in front of the organization's mission statement. That's how much I believed in what I was doing and in my position. However, there were sharky waters up ahead. I witnessed layoffs all around me, and I witnessed my own bosses actually quitting and leaving their jobs, which told me it was time for me to move on. The worst part of this is I had a family to support. Now, if you guys have a family or a larger family like I do, you know that it's almost impossible to live off of one person's income. The problem with all of this, however, is that I hadn't applied for a new position in years. Okay, I knew with it being the 21st century, I knew that I needed to leverage one simple tool. Can anyone give me a drum roll? That one tool, and you guys know what this is LinkedIn. So I knew that I needed LinkedIn to promote my skills. I knew that I needed to use it to get noticed, to promote my talents and my experience. I knew that I needed it to to create meaningful connections. So that's when I went to work learning everything I could about, and I call this a hairy beast of a platform because it certainly is. At least it seems that way before you learn how to use it. So by putting a few simple practices into place, which I'm going to teach you here today, I went from 0 searches to almost 900 searches every week. And then my profile went to almost 5,000 profile views every week. Now, not only that, I went from 0 connections. Well, let's just say I probably started out with about 50 to now over 10,000 followers on LinkedIn. Now, here's the cool thing. I'm not the only one that has done this. I want you to meet Cheryl Ann. So Cheryl Ann says, "Hey Heather, I wanted you to know that your great advice works." She says, "See my LinkedIn profile views below." So she gave me a screenshot of her profile views. She says, "Before I started my job search, I had neglected my LinkedIn profile and underestimated the value and importance of LinkedIn." She said, "I initially considered it like Facebook." Let me know in the chat. Give me a yes if this sounds familiar to you guys. She said, "I recently considered it like Facebook and didn't put much effort in." She says, "Your advice was spot on." So again, Cheryl Ann now increased her profile views to 59 views in 1 week. So where do we start with all this? If all that sounds familiar to you guys, type yes in the chat. And by the way, I see some fantastic questions coming through. Tori's here. She's going to collect your questions and put them in front of me, and I will be answering. I'll do my very best to answer all of them as we go throughout this presentation. We'll answer some of them. Okay, so where do we start? Let's start with the first step, okay? We are going to talk about what you need to do to get noticed. So there's 7 areas that must be optimized in your profile. 7, okay? I don't want you guys to think of anything else on LinkedIn. I don't want you to go in and look at all the other sections and all the other things you could be doing. I'm going to tell you the 7 that you need to focus on right now, okay? And then later on, after you get these 7 focused on, then you can go into more detail into your profile, but we're just going to talk about the 7 that are a must right now. So of course, the first one is the headshot. If you've ever heard me talk about the headshot, it needs to be professional. It needs to be something appropriate to your industry. I don't want any selfies, okay? I don't want you to grab your phone and be like, okay, and then like pop that up on LinkedIn, okay? LinkedIn is a professional platform and you need to display your professionalism. Even for any of my younger viewers out there, you know, high school, junior high, college students, make sure you have a professional headshot. Now, if you can't afford it in your budget, get your camera, have it turned this way. Okay, you can see some messages are coming through. My husband's messaging me. Have it turned this way and have your friend take your photo. Okay, with the back side of your camera, that it's a little bit more high quality. Make sure this is updated every couple years. Now, here's the thing with a headshot. If you have a headshot, I get a lot of connection requests, and so many people don't have their headshot in there. If you have a headshot, you get 14 times more views on your profile, and you get 9 times more connection requests. So make sure you get that headshot in there. Now, the second thing is your headline. I'm going to give you guys a couple of examples here. When it comes to your headline, it needs to be industry specific. Don't use the default headline that LinkedIn chooses for you. Tailor it to the position you want to be in. This is especially true for my career changers. Now, give me type a yes in the chat if you are a career changer, because I know that there are a lot of you guys here. When it comes to your headline, I want you to write what position or what industry you want to be in. We're not looking at the past. We're looking into the future and where it is that you want to be. Now, here's another key to this. Never use actively seeking. Never put that into your headline. Let me show you a couple of examples here. Here's an example of someone that's a graphic designer. And I could be a graphic designer and I could just say graphic designer. However, I'm going to add some more onto that. I'm going to say graphic designer specializing in logo design and personal brand awareness. Okay, look how easy that was to add specializing in. So now we're getting a little bit more detail into that headline. Let me share another example with you. Dental office manager. Okay, I could just put dental office manager, or I could say dental office manager creating high performance office environments. Here's another one. Director of public relations and marketing. I could just put that, or I could put something else to describe who I am that creates a little bit more personality and interest and character, right? I see a lot of yeses coming into the chat. A lot of you guys are career changers, so really tune into what I'm saying about this headline here. I'm going to share another example with you. Innovative sales professional. And I'm not saying actively seeking, but notice how what we do here is looking to positively impact a new organization. Okay, we're never going to add actively seeking or anything like that. We want it to be very streamlined and we want them to know who we are, but add a little bit of character to it. Now, next thing is your summary and your about section. I'm going to go into detail in just a second here about the summary, but just so you know, this is the most overlooked section on LinkedIn because it's the hardest to write. So this is basically you telling people who you are, who you help, and how you help them. And that's hard to do, but I'm going to show you a simple formula in just a minute on how you can do the summary. Now, the fourth part, again, I'm just sharing 7 things with you guys. Don't go looking outside of these 7 things right now. We just want to get these 7 things perfected before we start looking at other areas on our profile. The fourth part is your experience section. So this is going to be very similar to how you have your resume written. You're going to, talk about some of your accomplishments. You're going to give us results-driven achievement statements. Here's the kicker with the experience section. I like to do it in paragraphs, okay? I actually don't use bullet points on the experience section, and the reason why is because I don't want it to look like it's been copied and pasted from the resume. Some people don't care. Some LinkedIn experts are like, use bullet points. It's your preference. My preference is I like paragraphs. So I want to see a couple of paragraphs that is a little bit more personal. You're speaking in first person. You're talking about some of the coolest things you've done at that organization, okay? Next thing is your education and training. So this is the fifth section that you need to have optimized. So whether you have a degree or not, you need to take advantage of this section. So if you don't have a formal education or formal training, list licenses that you might have, certifications that you might have, anything that shows off your qualifications in some way to show that you are continually evolving and learning, okay? The 6th section is skills and endorsements. Oh my goodness. I had so many questions about skills and endorsements. I see a lot of yeses in here. I want to know, give me a yes if this is a section that confuses the heck out of you, okay? That you're wondering, what the heck do I do with my skills and endorsements? Because we have a lot of content to cover today, I'm just going to give you guys a quick snapshot of what you need to do with your skills and endorsements. Here's a screenshot of my skills and endorsements. When it comes to this section, LinkedIn allows you to add 50 skills. However, I don't recommend doing all 50 because it waters them all down. The purpose is that you add a skill and your connections endorse you for that skill. Now, if you have 50 skills and you have, let's say, 300 connections, or even let's say you had 1,000 connections, those people are not going to go through and endorse you for everything, okay? You have to focus on the top 3 skills, that you want to be known for. Now, notice what I have in mind: career strategist, LinkedIn training, and resume writing. I just recently added these to my profile within like the last couple of months. It takes time to get endorsed for certain things. So remember, whatever you have as your top 3 skill, it's going to take time for your network to start endorsing you, okay? Now, there's some that I left on here because I had some endorsements for those already. Like I left adult education on, curriculum design, higher education. I left those on, even though that doesn't really apply really to what I'm doing right now. But I had some endorsements, and so I left those there. Remember, only focus on the skills that you want to be known for. Don't water it down with all 50, and make sure the skills are very specific to your industry. Like, I don't want you to put leadership, okay? I want you to put something about leadership training or leadership whatever. Don't just have the word leadership, or don't just have the word training. Get specific with that, what that is, and then you'll start to see an increase in your endorsements. Now, the last section that you have to be optimized, this is number 7, recommendations. Now, this is my biggest fault. I am terrible at seeking out recommendations. I do not do this very well, but you need to go out and ask people for recommendations. People aren't just thinking about you while they're sitting at their desk and like, oh, I need to write a recommendation for Sally Sue. But if you're Sally Sue and you write to Bob and you say, Bob, hey, would you mind putting a recommendation out there for me on LinkedIn? Even if you give Bob a template to use, which, by the way, I'm going to tell you more about our VIP offer for LinkedIn Profile Perfection. I give you the templates to use to ask Bob for a recommendation, and to make it easy for Bob to write the recommendation. Like, you basically write out what you want Bob to say, okay? It's a really streamlined, easy to use process, and that's inside of LinkedIn Profile Perfection, which I'll tell you more about in just a minute. So tell me, which section on your profile do you think needs the most work? So of all the 7 sections, let me show you the screen again. By the way, if you want to screenshot this, you can totally screenshot this page. Which section do you think needs the most work on your LinkedIn profile? Okay, type it into the chat. While you guys are typing that in, let's get into step number 2, which is how to write a standout summary. Now, keep in mind, you guys, I love teaching. I could spend like days on just each of these topics individually, which is why I have my online program, LinkedIn Profile Perfection. This is just kind of like an overview, but you are still going to get a massive amount of information from today's presentation. So let's talk about the summary, because I know a lot of you have questions about the summary. Let me see where you guys are. I see a lot of 7s. Okay, a lot of you are talking about recommendations. By the way, if I had to write that would be the one that I would put. Is 7 is the one that I need to work on. Summary, yep, we're going to talk about summary in just a second. Experience section, recommendations, 6 and 2, Kimberly says. Yep, we're going to cover all these. Peter says all of them. It's okay, Peter. You're going to learn how to optimize some of those today. So okay, let's jump into your standout summary. So when it comes to the standout summary, I'm going to share with you an example in just a second, like a sample, and I'm going to tell you exactly how you want to structure your summary, okay? But before we get into the example, your summary needs to be an easy to read snapshot. I don't want to see a novel. I don't want to see a book of like who you are. I mean, I do want to know who you are, but I don't want it to be like lengthy and take me an hour to read, okay? We just want an easy to read snapshot of who you are. 2 to 3 paragraphs, 2 to 3 is all, okay? After those 2 to 3 paragraphs, I want to see your career highlights, okay? So we're starting with 2 to 3 paragraphs. We're then going to include some career highlights. We're then going to include an expertise section. So I'll show you how to do that in just a second, okay? That's it. 2 to 3 paragraphs, a career highlight section, and expertise. That's all I want to see on your summary, okay? Inside that, you need to have some sort of call to action. This is, hey, are you going to email me because you like what you see? Are you going to reach out and make a connection request with me? Whatever that is, we want some sort of call to action inside of your summary, okay? Use headers and bullet points, okay? The headers and bullet points allows your reader to kind of quickly glance through information, and I'll show you what I mean by headers and bullet points in a second. And then show your character and personality. Now the summary on your, and I should say the about section, okay? It's a summary, but it's inside the about section on LinkedIn. The summary is very similar to your professional summary on your resume. However, you're going into a little bit more detail. You want it to be more eye-catching, and you want to show your personality and character. You're going to speak in first person. You're not going to make it a formal, stuffy document like your resume is. You're now kind of like talking about yourself in first person, who you are, what are some of the cool things that you do, all that good stuff. So let me show you an example. Here's an example of paragraph 1. Okay, this is a digital marketing person. Okay, and I just wrote this up as if I was a digital marketing person. I said digital marketing is my passion. So let's say for you, you are an engineer, you're a nurse, you're a CPA, you're a whatever it is that you are, you would say nursing or taking care of patients or something is my passion. Okay, you're going to just fill in the blanks basically. I am a driven digital marketing specialist, eager to yada, yada, yada. So you're going to say, I am a driven accountant, eager to whatever you're eager to do, okay? And then you're going to talk about who you work closely with. That's paragraph 1. You're basically explaining, the type of career that you're in and what you're most passionate about, okay? That's it for paragraph 1. Paragraph 2, this is where you can list the number of years that you work in the industry or the position, plus you're going to mention your commitment to solving some of your industry's largest pain points, or someone that would be doing what you're doing. You're going to mention how you're solving those pain points. So for example, notice in this example, with 8 years of advertising and promotional experience and 5 years of yada, 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 I'm committed to providing the blah, blah, blah. You're going to just kind of fill in your own little section here. The one thing I want you to pay attention to in this example, again, this is paragraph 2. Notice it says, in my free time. Yes, you can add that here. Now, we don't add hobbies on a resume. Okay, never add hobbies on your resume. But in your LinkedIn profile, you can say, in my free time, I enjoy horseback riding and epic snow skiing, okay? Or whatever it is that you enjoy. And notice that now starts bringing in a little bit more character and personality. So after, and if you wanted to do one more paragraph, you could. I like the 2, but I know some of you want to like write a little bit more about yourself. Make them short and sweet. Okay. Don't give us the book club version of who you are. Give us the Cliff Notes. Okay. Now, here's what I mean by professional highlights and what I mean by a headline. I created a headline just by capitalizing professional career highlights. That's a headline. Okay. Then I create bullet points of some of my greatest accomplishments. And these bullet points, in fact, to find bullet points on LinkedIn, you just go to Google and type in like symbols to use in LinkedIn profile or something to that effect. You'll find like hundreds of websites. I like this little triangle as the bullet point. So again, if you decide to use a bullet point, don't make them super big. Don't use tons of emojis. Keep it kind of like tailored down. Okay. And then list some of your accomplishments. In this one, I have three greatest accomplishments. Okay. And that's basically all you do. The last thing in your summary is expertise section. So all you're going to do here is in caps again. This is us creating a headline sort of a thing. We're going to say expertise. Then we're going to mention keywords and keyword phrases that if I'm a hiring manager or I'm a recruiter and I'm going to look at someone that I want to hire, a digital marketing person, I want to know all these different things about them. I want a digital marketing person that also has social media management skills, that also has content creation, that also has brand development, okay? Like these are the keywords that people are using to find you, and you have to get them into your expertise section, okay? Even if you're like, oh, I might not be a super duper expert on that. If it's something that you think is needed in that field, and maybe it's something you could brush up on really quickly, add it to your expertise section. Let me show you really quickly what my about section looks like. So you'll notice I have a couple paragraphs. And again, I'm not writing this as a job seeker, but I wanted you to see this because I know I have a lot of business owners in here as well that are trying to write their about section as a business owner. So notice I have in the about section, I have 2 paragraphs. I've got some bullet points. So I'm creating that white space by separating things out. It's not overwhelming my reader. My reader's not opening up and saying, oh, I've got 5 paragraphs of information to read before I even learn about this person. No, we don't want that to happen. And then notice I have some titles, visit me on YouTube. And then notice at the very bottom, the expertise section, okay? So you need to make sure you're talking about what drives you most about your career, what you're passionate about, what your expertise are. Notice in the second paragraph, I said, my greatest strength is. So you could even have a paragraph that says my greatest strength is, or my biggest accomplishment is, or whatever that is. Okay. So 2 to 3 paragraphs, career highlights, expertise. That's it on the summary. Okay. Now, I want to know in the chat, what expertise can you add to your summary to make it stand out? What expertise can you add to your summary to make it stand out? I can see a ton of questions. I'm going to grab a drink really quick. A lot of good questions in here, guys. Keep them coming. Let me jump in and see, Tori, I'm going to just see really quickly. Shelly asked a question in the beginning. She says, is the cost of LinkedIn Premium worth the benefits? I get this question every time I talk about LinkedIn. I don't have a LinkedIn Premium account. However, if you want to have access to some of the free trainings and some of the free resources that they have in their library, it's not a bad option. They do release free trainings every month that you can access still, and they'll try and release them based on your profile and maybe some of the things you might be learning and needing to brush up on. I don't have a premium. I have a lot of really good friends that are LinkedIn experts, and I always ask them, do you have a premium account yet? What do you think about premium? Most of us don't have a premium account. If you're a job seeker, it does give you a little bit more insight into certain things, like who's who's applying for the position, where do you stand in the 100 applicants? But keep in mind, that's evaluating just based on your profile. So if you don't have certain things written in your profile, they're going to rank you a certain way. So again, it's got to be a personal decision that you make. Okay, awesome. I have this question. Is it Sharman says, does a picture with a Muslim headscarf on LinkedIn pose any issue? Well, let me tell you, one of the profiles that I'm going to review today, and I think it's April, she is wearing a headscarf, and I don't think it poses an issue at all. So I'm going to go through her profile in just a little bit so you can see. That's a really good question. Awesome. Good, you guys. Keep the questions coming. Again, Tori's going to get them in front of me. Let's jump back into our slides. So the next thing I want to share with you is building meaningful relationships and networking. So this is without seeming too forward. You want to continue to foster relationships and you want to continue to develop new relationships. Okay. So I'm going to share with you a couple of items when it comes to this. Networking has got to be your number one priority. Once you get that profile written, I want you to spend a couple minutes every single day, just give me 2 minutes every single day on LinkedIn networking. And by networking, I don't mean just networking with new people, okay? So let's talk about building these meaningful relationships. I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty of this. Before you start networking, create a strong profile, okay? This is if someone goes to your profile to check you out and look at some of the things you're doing, you have to have it really nice and optimized. You don't want to go network with half of a written profile. It's not like you would go apply for a job with half of a written resume, right? Think of LinkedIn as the exact same thing. Number 2, you have to nurture existing relationships. I want to challenge all of you guys by the end of the day. Today, I want you to pick 5 people from your network that you already connected with. It could be a brother, an uncle, a best friend, a coworker, a previous boss. I don't care who it is, someone from your community that maybe you don't know that well. It doesn't matter. I want you to pick 5 people and I want you to send a quick note to them. Just be like, hey, how are things going? We're not talking about, can you help me find a job? Can you help me find a client? We're just saying, how are you? Like, I noticed that you recently had a work anniversary, or you recently had a birthday, or hey, how's your son, Jimmy John, doing, or whatever, okay? Like, pick 5 people and just send them a quick note about how they're doing. How are they surviving during the crazy time that we're living in? How are they managing everything? Okay. Like, do that. If nothing else today, I want you to do that, nurturing your existing relationships. Then you're going to develop new relationships. Okay, I'm going to show you what you're going to do. I'll show you exact steps here in just a second, but this is now where you're making new relationships with people in the industry that you want to work in, or maybe people that are already doing the same job as you. Okay. You're now going to start reaching out and making those connections. Here's a quick way to do this. I'm going to go to LinkedIn. I'm going to type, let's say I want to be a product manager. I'm going to type product manager into the people tab, into the search tab. I'm going to make sure that it's narrowed down on people. And then I'm going to select all filters. Okay. Because notice, let's see, what does this say? 13 million people. I'm not going to go connect with all 13 million of those people. Okay. I want to connect with only the people that it's really going to make an impact with. Okay. So I need to go into all the filters. Notice that I can click on my connections. If they're first, second, third, I can network with them based on their location, what schools they went to, what past companies they worked for. Maybe I want to work for Google and I want to go search for all the people that have worked for Google before. So I can ask them, like, what was your experience like? Did you enjoy it? What did you like the best? What challenges did you run into? Whatever that might be. We're going to now go into the all filters. And then now we're going to not have those 13 million people. And I'm just going to select maybe 5 or 10 people that I want to send a connection request to. Now, here's another way to do it. If I go to the company page on LinkedIn, this is Amazon's company page. I'm just going to select people, okay? And it's going to show me all their employees. And now I can start connecting with people that work at Amazon, okay? Super easy, a super easy thing to do. I'm going to share a template with you guys really quickly. Here's a connection request template. Take a screenshot of this. You're going to say, hey there, whoever. I noticed that, like me, you are also a product or project manager, or you are also an accountant, or you're also an engineer. I also noticed we share some of the same connections. Would you mind if we connect here on LinkedIn? That's all you need to do, okay? Just a simple connection request template. Now, keep in mind, inside of LinkedIn Profile Perfection, which I'm going to tell you more about in a second here, we have all of these templates, like the templates for every part of this whole entire process of you reaching out, getting recommendations, connecting with new people, connecting with friends, whoever it is that you're connecting with. We have templates for all that, the part of that process. don't be afraid to ask for an introduction, okay? So if you know that Sally or that Bob knows Sally that works at company X, don't be afraid to be like, hey, Bob, would you mind putting me in touch with Sally, okay? And by the way, we have a template for that as well inside of the program. Now, let me know in the chat. Type a yes below if based on these little things that I showed you, networking seems doable to you. Type a yes in the chat if networking seems doable to you. Oh, Peter says, I have a question from Peter. So while you guys are typing that in, I still have some more tips to share with you guys. If you've never been to one of my live streams, they're so jam-packed of like some solid tips for you. Peter says, Heather, how can I have a one-on-one with you? Tori, if you have the link to the one-on-one, pop that into the chat, and Peter can grab that. I'd love to work with you one-on-one, Peter. Okay, Mike, I'm so glad you asked this question because I'm going to address this in a second. Mike says, should I use the open to work status? Okay, I'm going to say this is at this point in time while I'm recording this. And by the way, if you guys have not yet given this video a thumbs up, give it a thumbs up because it tells YouTube that this video is good and it shares it with more job seekers and more people that want to know about LinkedIn. And also subscribe to this channel because that also tells YouTube that this is a good video and that the content is worthwhile. So make sure you hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. Mike says, should I use the open to work status? At this point in time, while we're doing this video, I say no. And I'll talk more about that when I do these profile reviews. This is a very new feature that LinkedIn has implemented, and I don't love it right now. It seems it's almost just like, hey, I'm here. It's almost like too much of a too forward, I guess I should say. Now, there might be other experts out there that disagree with me, but I know for me and like the other LinkedIn experts that I talk with, we don't love it, and I'll show you why and when I do the profile reviews. But that's a really good question. So let's see where you guys are. Let's see. George says, Heather, do you do a session focusing on creating a company page? Oh, you know what? I do have a separate presentation just for business owners about using LinkedIn. I don't normally do that on my main channel here because I mainly work with job seekers. But maybe I'll consider that in the future. Awesome. Good. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of yeses that this networking thing seems doable. So just based on the little things that I shared with you. Now, let me share with you, let me pop into the slides again, how to post engaging content. This is one of my favorite parts to talk about when it comes to LinkedIn because a lot of people are super nervous about this. Did you guys know that only 3 million users share content weekly? Now, let me put that in perspective for you. If you look at Twitter, you look at Facebook, and you look at Instagram, this is like a teeny, tiny fraction. So not a lot of people are posting weekly on LinkedIn. So it's a fantastic way for you to get your voice heard, get your thoughts and opinions out there, and to get recognized, okay? So I'm gonna share with you 6 types of content ideas that you can post on LinkedIn. So this is you going to LinkedIn and you making a post, okay? Inspirational messages. So you could find a quote. You could find a quote from a famous person. When I first started using social media, that's what I did. I would go find famous quotes that resonated with me. I would make a little graphic in Canva about this quote. And you don't even have to make a graphic. Just write a text message. Just write text and talk about why that quote is meaningful to you. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one is industry-related news and research. So anything that pertains to your industry that's fascinating to you, that stands out to you, that you're like, oh, this is super cool. I totally want to talk about this in my newsfeed. Then go ahead and post on that. Articles or blogs via LinkedIn Publishing is another fantastic way. This is a really good way for you to talk about trends that are happening and for you to get others interested and engaged with you. Another really great content idea is simple how-to or educational tips. That's mostly what I post. I post a lot of how-to or tips to help people like go from point A to point B. That's another thing that works well. Photo updates. I'm going to show you some examples here in just a second. That works really well as well. Or lessons learned. This is actually one of the things that I think works the best on LinkedIn is when you say, hey, by the way, I learned this really interesting lesson today. And it could be like a profound lesson, or it could just be something that like came across your radar that day that you want to share with people. Now, let me show you guys the different types of posts and how you can do this. This is a post that I did of just a native video. Now, contrary to what others might say, native video posts for me don't do great, okay? I'll show you what does great, but you'll notice that this one had 609 views. That was it, okay? But then notice when I popped something else out, I did a GIF. It was like a humorous or a thought-provoking post. You'll notice that I more than doubled the views on this post, okay? And when I say, because I'm not a huge vanity metrics person, but when I say the views and the engagement, if you post something, the more views and engagement it gets, the more you're getting recognized and the more you're getting noticed, okay? So the more you're now becoming a thought leader in your industry. So that's the only reason why I'm mentioning the views and the engagement. Here's something that's an eye-catching image post, okay? This one got just about the same views as that humorous post that I had, but notice the engagement, okay? So there's a couple different things you can pick up in this one. Now, here's what's interesting. This is a text-based post. I didn't do any images. I didn't do a GIF. I didn't do any of that. Notice that now the views double, if not triple. And notice the engagement doubles and triples. So sometimes people just want to know, like, they don't want all those images. They don't need that, they just want to know from the heart, like who you are, what you're doing. And sometimes those text-based images do just as well. But let me share with you what does even better. A personal update and a milestone post. So this is, hey, by the way, I recently was promoted, or by the way, I recently learned this new task and this helped me do X, Y, and Z. Notice now how the views from just that very first one, it's quadrupled, okay? And the engagement is quadrupled. So anytime you can share a really good story about an update or anything personal that's going on. Now, we're not getting super nitty gritty like, hey, listen, I don't talk about anything political here. I don't talk about touchy subjects here because I'm here just to help you as a job seeker and help you land your ideal career opportunities. I stay out of all that stuff. Even in my personal life, I don't get super wrapped up in that. But if there's any time that something comes up that like you're learning from and that you can share a personal update about, people love that, okay? And keep in mind, your future employer is going to see this. So you want to keep that in mind. I want to share a couple posts. My really good friend, John Marty. By the way, if you guys are not following him on LinkedIn, he's amazing. He's awesome. I love John. He posts the most amazing content. This is him making a post about, hey, I had shoulder surgery and now I'm back on my skateboard. Okay, notice the comments and the views. This video alone had 27,000 views just by him telling a really good story. Here's another thing he posted about his 6-year-old son. Okay, so he's talking about his 6-year-old son, them kind of living minimalist, yada, yada, yada. Notice the views and the engagement on that, or excuse me, the comments and the interaction on that post. And then here's another one that he did. Same thing. He talks about my wife and I live in a 900 square foot house, yada, yada, yada. Like these little posts, you guys can notice that these text-based posts or some of these most simple posts are what perform the best on LinkedIn, okay? Now, I want to know in the chat, what type of content do you like to see on LinkedIn? So tell me in the chat, what type of content do you like to see on LinkedIn? Dwayne asks, what are your thoughts on spiritual posts on LinkedIn? So here's the thing, Dwayne, what I mentioned earlier, I don't get into like politics. I don't get into religion. I don't get into like really touchy subjects because it's harder for me to put myself, like, again, what I said to you before, when I first started LinkedIn, I didn't even want to do one post. I was super afraid of what others would think of me. Maybe as time goes on, I might feel more comfortable sharing that kind of stuff. But right now, I don't really do that. I like what you guys are saying, inspirational, innovative, humorous, lessons learned. Dan says, I like seeing process videos. So do I. I love those. Those are awesome. Educational and creative. Yes, those are all the things that I like to stick with on LinkedIn. And as time goes, I might change my standpoint on that. Now, let's talk about how to get recruiters and hiring managers to come to you. So again, you guys, we still have some profile reviews to do, and I want to share with you a little bit more about LinkedIn profile perfection. but let's talk about how to get recruiters and hiring managers to come to you. Okay. I know a lot of you said, I get ghosted. No one's listening to me. They don't respond to me. Here's the thing. When it comes to this, don't take it personal. Okay. There's a lot of reasons why you might get ghosted or you might not ever hear back from somebody. It might be that the timing is off for some reason. It might be that there was a change in priorities, or it might be that the recruiter or the hiring manager is just not that good at their job. Okay, so don't take things personal when it comes to, hey, this person didn't get back to me. What you do need to do, though, is build a strong profile, which I gave you the seven sections you have to optimize right now. So once you get that profile built, you do not want a recruiter or a hiring manager going to your profile and seeing it half written, okay, or half developed. You need to develop that sucker fully, and it's just those 7 sections. That's it, okay? Follow up with a purpose. When you are following up with them, remind them, thank them for their time, remind them of your qualifications, okay, and why you are a great fit. We're not just going to follow up to follow up. We need it to mean something, okay? The next thing is be proactive. So here's another thing that we see is a recruiter will say, hey, Sally Sue, I know I call Sally Sue out a lot. She's like my favorite person. I say, Sally Sue, I need you to complete this assessment test really quickly. I'm a recruiter, and Sally Sue might think, oh, I've got a couple days to complete this. That's not what we need to do. Sally Sue needs to respond right to that recruiter right away and say, oh, thanks for sending this assessment. I'm super excited to get to it. I'll let you know as soon as I'm done. And then Sally Sue needs to get on that assessment right away. Or maybe the recruiter might say, hey, Sally, do you have your list of references? Sally needs to be on that in like a minute flat, sending the recruiter her references. Okay, so you have to be proactive. Don't let things fall through the cracks. And then engage in the news feed. So I talked to you guys about what you can post. Don't be afraid to go like, comment, and share other people's posts, especially from the organization that you want to work for, or especially if it's a recruiter or a hiring manager that's also posting in the news feed. Don't be afraid to engage with their posts either. Okay. And then don't wait around. Oh, this is one thing that I see happen to my clients and my students is they'll say, this opportunity is perfect. Like, I've got to get this position. This is like the perfect match for me. But then when it doesn't pan out, what happens is your confidence goes down the tube. Okay. It goes down the tube and you're like, what? Like, they don't like me. Like, why didn't they hire me? And then you kind of lose that speed and that momentum. I always want you to have a couple deals going on the table. Okay. You're always working a couple different avenues. If you can, work 3 or 4 different options. Okay. Do not focus on that one option, because if that does not fall through, it could be tragedy. Okay. It's pretty tragic when that happens. I know, because it's happened to me and I see it happen to other people. Do not put all your eggs in one basket. Now, quick question for you. I want to know, what is the biggest takeaway from what we've learned so far today? What's the biggest takeaway? And by the way, I still have some profile reviews to get to, so I'm going to show you some of those as well. But I want to know in the chat, what is the biggest takeaway that you've had today? And while you guys are typing that in, you're probably here today because you want a better LinkedIn profile. I know that because I heard from a lot of you. You want a profile that gives you more confidence to pursue new career opportunities. You want a profile that helps you stand out from everyone else in your industry. I know that you probably want a profile that is more marketable, right? And that lands you more job interviews. You want to successfully connect with people at companies you'd like to work with. You also probably want to create engaging content that is impactful and, most importantly, that sparks conversation. You want to amp up your profile and increase your connections. Now, remember that nothing I've shared with you today is just a good idea or theory. These are proven concepts. Everything that I shared is proven concepts that my clients and my students have used to succeed on LinkedIn. Now, I don't have access to a secret tool or expensive resources. And as I mentioned earlier, I don't even use LinkedIn's premium edition. I just have a system that works, and I know that if others can do this, so can you. So I want to ask you, how would you like all the templates, the guides, the instructions for every single part of the process? So I'm talking about your LinkedIn headline and summary templates, networking and connection request templates, recommendation request templates, all the trainings and the strategies that my clients have used to figure out the intricacies of LinkedIn so it doesn't seem like a hairy beast anymore, right? And to grow their connections effortlessly and now land new career opportunities. Well, I want to invite you today to join me inside of LinkedIn Profile Perfection. So LinkedIn Profile Perfection is an all-inclusive online program where you'll learn exactly how to build a marketable LinkedIn profile and navigate the platform like a pro. This course is a complete guide with video lessons. So if you guys thought you got a lot out of today, wait until you see the course. This course is packed full of with video lessons and step-by-step tutorials to help you build a powerful profile and navigate the platform with confidence. Now I want you guys to meet Brandon. So Brandon says, retiring from the Navy after 20 years, I needed a civilian outlook on my career and how to sell my brand. So I know a lot of you guys are struggling to build your personal brand right now. He says, I filled out the template you provided and took all your tips for LinkedIn. He says, within 2 weeks, I started getting callbacks for interviews that ultimately led to an offer close to making what I made in the military. I also want you to meet Alexis. So Alexis says, I didn't know how to explain my employment gap during the program. I learned so much about myself. I was blown away by the LinkedIn workshop and the cover letter training. She says, the last resume I wrote was 11 years ago. She says, so much has changed with resume writing since then. I feel much more confident, and she said actually excited to start submitting resumes. And I actually will share with you what happened with her in just a second here. So inside of LinkedIn Profile Perfection, 4 modules with over 20 step-by-step video lessons where you'll learn exactly how to use LinkedIn to build your personal brand. So I go in detail into those 7 items that I shared with you earlier. I go into detail on each of those items inside the program. You also have an in-depth understanding of how to use LinkedIn to network, to properly grow your network and find high-quality career opportunities. Lessons are tailored to help you with the most cumbersome parts of the platform. And this includes your account settings and you're keeping your data secure. I know that's a big thing for a lot of us right now. And then easy to follow action steps after each lesson. So I tell you exactly what to do and exactly what to complete to help you perfect your profile and again, navigate the platform like a pro. And then here's the cool thing, lifetime access to the course material and the ability to complete the course anywhere, anytime. And this includes any course updates that are done over time. So this is lifetime access, you guys. Now, I want to share a painful bonus with you. If you grab the LinkedIn Profile Perfection today, with the painful bonus, you get the Career Advancement Toolkit for $0. So the Career Advancement Toolkit, if you have not heard, is one-of-a-kind templates, guides, instructions, examples, and even more video lessons to help keep you on track and land your dream job in record time. So let me share with you really quickly what's inside. Dozens of templates. There's bonus video lessons, my perfect cover letter how-to guide, my LinkedIn Profile Essentials Starter Pack, and then my ultimate guide to surviving your job search. Now, let me share with you really quickly. Tania sent this message in just recently about what her experience was with the toolkit. She says, I'm finally employed again in an industry I love and know well. She says, after being put on temp leave and subsequently terminated July 2020 due to COVID. I want to know in the chat, type yes if that happened to any of you. So you were put on temp leave or furloughed and then subsequently terminated. So this is what happened to Tania. She says, below is a summary of my stats after having used your tips and templates from the Career Advancement Toolkit. She said, I applied to a total of 9 positions via LinkedIn and Indeed. She got 6 interview requests that all led to second interviews, and she received 3 job offers. What an amazing position to be in. When she sent me this message, I was over the moon doing a happy dance with her. Now, I have a fast action bonus for the first 5 people to sign up. Now, again, I've limited this to 5 because of how much time this takes. A free LinkedIn critique from me. It's a recorded video of me walking line by line through your profile that you can watch whenever you choose. Now, normally if someone reaches out to me to do this, and I do these all the time, it's $300, but you get this, the first 5 people to enroll get this for free inside of the program. Now, No more guessing or trying to figure out what hiring officials are really looking for. It's your time. It's your time to experience a LinkedIn profile that does all the heavy lifting for you. It's your time to have a profile that stands out from everyone else and helps you land higher quality job opportunities. It's your time for a networking strategy, which I know this is one of the most important things to most of you, that gives you more confidence than ever and helps you properly sell yourself. It's your time to have a success in your career with the guidance of a step-by-step system that works. Now, you're probably wondering, Heather, okay, what's the investment for me right now to get into this program? So you can enroll now today for just $97 or 2 monthly payments to follow, or just one payment. And remember that pay in full bonus of the Career Advancement Toolkit, one payment of $197, which saves you $94. Now, this offer is only going to be available until Monday, February 15th at 11:59 p.m. So this offer, including this replay and all the good stuff that I'm sharing with you, is only available for a few days. Now, hiring someone to do all this work for you would cost you at least $500, okay? Hiring me as your one-on-one coach would cost you at least $2,000. Taking a college course, which, by the way, I've created a lot of college courses in the past, would cost you at least $4,000. All of the resources, all the trainings, the templates, everything inside the program is worth more than $2,000, but you can invest today for just $197 or 3 monthly payments of $97. And by the way, in just a second here, guys, we're going to jump into profile review. So the learning phase is not finished yet here. Don't miss out. If you enroll now, you'll save $100 off the full price. This VIP offer only lasts until Monday, February 15th at 11:59 p.m. All you need to do is go to professораustin.com/LinkedIn. Tori's also popping the link in for you. And by the way, keep your questions coming. I'm going to get into all those and answer as many as I can. The final step, enter a secure checkout using either PayPal or a credit card. Let me share with you guys a couple of success stories. Kimberly wrote her first ever post on LinkedIn and grew her connections. And by the way, let me know, give me a yes if you've never written a post on LinkedIn before. Type yes in the comments if you've never made your own post, okay? Like you've probably commented and liked and shared other people's posts, but made your own. So Kimberly says, Heather, I'm so excited. My connections have grown in the last 2 days. She says, I started liking and commenting on posts. Yesterday, I even wrote my first ever post. I started out with 77 connections. Now I have 116. So she just grew in a couple of days. She says, I have a long way to go, but I feel like I found my groove when it comes to networking. I'm seeing a lot of yeses in here. A lot of you guys have never posted. And by the way, I hope you'll go back and look at some of the content ideas that I shared with you, because I'd love to see you and then either tag me or write me a message and say, Heather, I posted my first post, and let me see it, and I'll go and like and comment and interact with your post. LaShonda, here's what happened to LaShonda. She said she landed 2 job offers with JP Morgan. She said, good morning. I took a virtual interview on Saturday with JP Morgan, and on Monday they sent me an email saying I was being considered for 2 positions. She says, thank you so much for your encouragement lessons on LinkedIn and videos. Here's what happened with Alexis. So I talked to you about her before. She had problems using the platform. She says, I previously had trouble with LinkedIn. And she said specifically the interests section, which by the way, I go into detail in the program in the interest section. She said that was especially helpful, especially since I find that section user unfriendly. She says, now I know how to add the list. So thank you for demonstrating how to do this. And then here's what happened with Alexis later on. She says, it's been a long time, because I hadn't heard from her for a while. She says, it's been a long time since I've communicated with you, and I would like to let you know I have some good news. I was offered 2 jobs I wanted with offers at higher rates of pay than anticipated. She says, I am still walking on a cloud. She says, I know the main reason is because the resume plus LinkedIn profile included all of your suggestions. So she was offered 2 jobs at rates higher than she thought. Here's what happened with Kay. She says, I searched up and down in libraries online. She says, you name it for a resume advice, your recommendations are hands down the best. Charles made some awesome improvements to his profile. He says, my profile is much better now. He's like, I made some awesome improvements based on your advice. And then James, he actually figured out the intricacies of LinkedIn. He says, my biggest takeaway is that you pointed the way and gave good advice on each step of getting our profiles together and figuring out the intricacies of LinkedIn. Now, remember, LinkedIn Profile Perfection is available for a very limited time VIP offer. Your investment is $197 today or 3 monthly payments of $97 if you decide to use the payment plan. All you need to do is go to professораustin.com/LinkedIn. Again, Tori has the link in the chat. There's also a link down in the description below. Pay in full bonus. Don't forget about the Career Advancement Toolkit. If you do the pay in full bonus, this toolkit retails at $167. So the toolkit's almost just as much as the VIP offer for the course. Fast action bonus. These probably might be gone already. The first 5 people to sign up will receive a free LinkedIn profile critique from me where I walk line by line through your profile, and you'll kind of see what I do with critiques in just a second here. Let me share with you guys what's possible. Here's what happened with Terry B., who's a power engineer. He says, just wanted to take a moment to thank you for all your excellent coaching videos and self-help. I love that he calls it a self-help program package. He says, your guidance has helped me polish up my LinkedIn, rev up my resume, and helped me ace the interview to get a fabulous job offer for a position that I believe I will really enjoy. And he says this is after being 10 years out of the job search market. So this was really similar to my story because I hadn't searched for a job in so dang long. Here's what happened to Ellen. She says, somehow I stumbled across you on LinkedIn and your advice was immeasurably helpful. I start my new job on Monday and I'm super excited about the opportunity. Here's what happened with Alex. Now, let me tell you, Alex is probably not here today because he landed his new job. He used the power of LinkedIn to network and land more interviews. So basically, LinkedIn is what allowed him to turn his temporary contract job into a permanent position. He says, sometimes I think one just needs to persevere. It may be tough and uncertain, but one needs to believe in himself or herself. This is a happy ending to my job search in 10 months. So Alex was laid off because of COVID. He says, my advice to all others, and this is one of the most important parts of what he said to me. He actually just wrote this email the other day. Do not give up and keep your network alive. Okay. If you guys take nothing away from this presentation today, do not give up and keep your network alive. Now, really quickly, before we get into reviews, let me just share again a quick at a glance what's inside LinkedIn Profile Perfection. There's 4 modules with over 20 step-by-step video lessons, an in-depth understanding of how to use LinkedIn, lessons tailored to help you with the most cumbersome parts of the platform, easy to follow action steps, lifetime access, and of course, one of my favorites, the painful bonus for the Career Advancement Toolkit. One last success story for you. CHERYL, who's an athlete, academic counselor, says, I enjoyed the LinkedIn mini course. It gave me some insight and good foundation about improving my LinkedIn profile. The information in your course was not overwhelming and it was simple to follow. Keep up the good work. So you guys, if you want to join us today in LinkedIn Profile Perfection, Tori will probably give you guys a shout out in the chat for whoever's joining us, whoever's grabbing the LinkedIn profile reviews. Go to professораustin.com/LinkedIn. You'll get an email. You'll get access to the course right away. You'll actually be jumping into the course before I even finish today's live stream. So make sure you guys grab that if that's something that interests you. Let me show you really quickly what will happen when you click on the link, and then we'll get into profile reviews. You'll go to a page that looks similar to this. It says build a marketable LinkedIn profile and navigate the platform like a pro. You can actually scroll down this page and look at just all the good juicy things inside, all the testimonials from all the people that have used the program, and it kind of just gives you an at a glance snapshot of what's inside the course. Now, let's get into LinkedIn profile reviews. Let me just see if there's any questions that are popping in that I need to address before we get into reviews, because these reviews are going to be super awesome. Okay, Sean asked a really good question. Should we post our resume on LinkedIn? No, do not post your resume on LinkedIn. You want your resume, you want to keep that. Okay, that's a document that you're going to either send in a Word or a PDF document to a hiring official or a recruiter, never post it. I know that LinkedIn allows you to attach a PDF. Don't do that, okay? Keep it to yourself, and you want your profile to be interesting enough that a hiring official reaches out to you and says, hey, by the way, Sean, can I have your resume? Because they want to know a little bit more detail. And by the way, that's a good sign if they do that. Let me grab a drink. Okay, Dwayne asked a really good question. Should you accept requests from people you do not know, especially those from out of state? Okay, so Dwayne, Tori actually helps me with my LinkedIn profile, by the way. She's in there a lot, interacting with all of you guys if you ever send me messages on LinkedIn. I think it's okay to accept connection requests from someone that you don't know, but make sure there's something in common. Now, remember, if you think back to that template I shared with you earlier that said you're reaching out to someone you don't know and you say, hey, by the way, can we connect? You're saying, hey, I noticed that you yada, yada, yada. Like you're trying to create a connection so that they can see that you're not just some random stranger. Like, why are you connecting with them? So again, you hope that those people are doing that same to you. Just see if they, what do they have in common with you and why are they reaching out to connect with you? Oh, so many good questions. Okay, let's get into these reviews. So the very first, let's see, LinkedIn profiles to review. Let me pop my camera up here. And by the way, I have permission for all these beautiful people. And you guys, we had so many profiles submitted. We had hundreds, and it was so hard to pick the ones that I really wanted to review because I wanted to review all of them. So what I did is I tried to pick profiles that could kind of touch on the general, and I do this with resumes, the general feel of like what you guys need, okay? So let's start with April. So April, if you're here, say hello in the chat. Here's April's profile. So let me just refresh my memory. April, she sent me, let me give you guys her. Oh, so April's transitioning from her PhD program into the working field. And her biggest thing is how to market herself using LinkedIn and really using the about section. So I went into detail about that about section. So again, if you guys have any questions about that, go back to that little section in the video. And when we finish today, so anyone that's watching this as a replay, we'll go in and timestamp where each of the steps are. So you can easily go back to step 1 or step 2, wherever I talk about it, and watch it from there. So she just wants to make her about section, her about section better. She's wondering if she should use bulleted points or paragraphs or what kind of information she should include. So let me get my glasses on for this because this takes a little bit of analyzing. So first of all, love the headshot. I know that someone asked about headscarves. So beautiful. I actually love that it's in the color blue because it really stands out from the background. Don't be afraid to do this. If anyone else is out there that has a religious preference, don't change because you're trying to get a new job. If that place of employment has a problem with you, you don't want to work there. Anyway, so don't change that. I love your background photo that you're using. Very scholarly. That's great. Okay, so here's her title: Curriculum Designer, Expert Storyteller, Trained Writer. So I love that. I love that you're using really good keywords in here, April. The one thing I would recommend doing is I want to see you do a search on LinkedIn for that ideal position that you want and look at what is that title that I need to have in my headline. So if it is curriculum designer or expert storyteller or trained writer, the word trained writer kind of throws me off a little bit because if I'm a recruiter, I'm not necessarily looking for the word trained writer. Like I might be looking for technical writer and that might not be you, but like I'm looking for something a little bit more specific. I would say get specific as you can in this headline. And this goes for anyone else. Tailor your headline to the position you want to go into. Okay. But I do like that you're using a separation line to kind of keep things separate. You could even say curriculum designer specializing in storytelling, writing, and something else. Okay. Now, curriculum designer is definitely something that people are looking for. So again, you want to make sure your profile pops up for them. Okay, let's look at the about section. So here's what I want to say. I love that these little bullet points you're using. They're not too big. You do have a few different emojis, and I think that's okay. I think that's great. You do have some really good, fantastic, let me make sure you guys can see this. You have some fantastic keywords in here. What I would do here though, is I want to read about you, especially because you're an expert storyteller. So April, I want to have like 2 paragraphs of some really juicy information about who you are. And I'm saying short, like don't give us a novel. Okay. Give us some really good, short, juicy paragraphs about who you are that show your character, that show your personality, that talks about how great you are as a curriculum developer or curriculum designer. And then that talks about your expertise in storytelling or your passion for storytelling. I'm trying to get into the summary really quickly so I can show you this. So again, what you would do is give us just 2 paragraphs at the top, okay? And then what I would love to see, let me jump to this section, professional highlights. So I would love, you're already doing that, but let's get a, no, I lost my screen. Let me find my I have so many screens that I'm working with right now. What I would love to see is you say something like professional highlights or something, and turn this into like some really good, like you already have some fantastic, so for example, transitioning from academia to industry, you could have that in your paragraph. So give us a couple of paragraphs and then pick out the accomplishment or results driven statements that you could put in the career highlights section. Okay. Then what I would love to see, you are kind of doing this here, select competencies and expertise, but I would rather see it in like a list format so that it's not extending out the length of your about section. Does that make sense? Because right now it's like one piece of information is on each line, and I don't love all this white space right here. It like almost makes me stop reading. So let's get it out to where it's just like written all like expertise and make expertise capitalized, very similar to what I showed you. Okay, here's what I'm talking about, you guys, when I say the call to action. She says, feel welcome to send me a direct message here on LinkedIn or email me at, I would love to learn about the compelling work you do. I love that. That's so amazing. Anyone else that you don't have any sort of call to action, make sure you get that in there. Okay. This shows all of her activity, her followers, experience. Love that you're doing the paragraphs. If you guys wanted to, you could even do one small paragraph with bullet points. Again, I mentioned earlier that I love the paragraphs, but you don't want them to be super long because that overwhelms people. Let's see. I just want to read. It says, I serve as the PhD career and professional development GA, okay, graduate assistant. I was confused at what that meant for a second. Supporting efforts to actively engage. Okay, this is awesome. So good. If there's any way you could add a little bit more of your character and personality into the work experience section, I would. Very similar to what you're doing up here. So you're giving us, I mean, especially love this, where you're, this is like, and I don't even know if I would say hobbies. I would put that as a sentence under like your second paragraph inside your summary there. Okay, this shows your progression. That's awesome. April, I don't think you don't have any featured work. What I would recommend, you guys, if you can, let me just scroll down. If you could somehow put this is my profile, by the way, anything like featured work into your profile, I think that's awesome. And some of these other profiles that I'm going to review have that. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So you have this looks like a paper here. That's awesome. That's fantastic. I educated ages. And notice, you guys, she's speaking first person. So that's how you're doing your profile. You're speaking first person. You're taking out that formalness that a resume would have. Okay. And just add a little bit more character and personality. Talk about what I like to see in this work experience section is I like to see my greatest accomplishment as a graduate teaching assistant was yada, 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 or my greatest, the biggest project I worked on or something. Like give us your greatest project in each of these, or your greatest accomplishment in each of these. Yep, I think that looks great. In terms of you guys, how far back you should go, because I'm sure there's some questions about that. You don't need to go any more than 10 to 15 years back. Okay. So keep it recent. Most hiring officials or anyone that's looking to hire you as a client, or them to be your client, they're looking at what you're doing recently. Like most people are more concerned with what are you doing right now? That needs to be the focus. I love all of the education here. Fantastic. I love that you mentioned the dissertation in there. I think that's great. Let me make a note on GPA, because I know your GPA is awesome and amazing. I think you're okay to keep it listed here. Anyone else, if you've been out of school for a while, you don't need to list your GPA. And especially if it's not super noteworthy. For example, you guys probably don't know this about me, but in college, I had a low GPA. I was more concerned with my friends and socializing than I was with learning, believe it or not. And I would never list my GPA. In fact, I barely made it into graduate school because my GPA was so low. I was accepted into graduate school on a provisionary notice. I had to go back and take a class and get a better grade for them to let me into graduate school. So a lot of times we don't need to include the GPA either on our resume or even in our profile, because we want the focus to be more on, like the degree, the program, and some of the cool things that you did in the program. But I think in your case, I think that's fine, especially since you're just transitioning out of the program into the working place. Awesome. This is what I talked to you guys about earlier, licenses and certifications. She has this in here. Here's one thing that I like to recommend. I work with a lot of career changers. And one of the things I recommend is if you are changing careers. For example, I have a client who she's moving from events management and she's moving into like medical billing and coding. So what she's done is she's gone out and she's taking courses right now, either on LinkedIn or Indeed not Indeed, Skillshare. What's the other one? Udemy. That's what I meant to say. And she's taking courses in medical billing and coding, medical terminology, all that good stuff, because she's coming from events coordination, right? So now she's got to show to this employer that I'm taking all these classes right now that are making me relevant, and this is the perfect place to put it. Volunteer work's awesome. I know I didn't mention this as my top 7 things. I would say don't get into this section unless you're done with the other optimizing the top 7 sections that I mentioned earlier. Okay, April, let me mention this really quick. This is awesome. I love this. This is a little bit too long for me, okay? I want just a quick little overview. In fact, let me just scroll down. So my experience, mine is the mission of yada, yada, yada. This is what I do in this role. I want just a nice little short, sweet paragraph. You could even do 2 paragraphs. This gets overwhelming to me as I'm reading through it. I would pick out the most important things that you need to emphasize, and I would write that, and then I would get rid of everything else. Same here. This is awesome. Love to see this. Your volunteer section is like amazing, by the way. This should also be on your resume if you don't have it on there. Let's just shorten it up though, and let's put just the most important things that need to go in here. Because keep in mind, anyone that's going to be hiring you, they're going to just go bang, bang, bang through your profile so fast. They're not even going to be glancing at all these little super awesome details. Let's get the most amazing ones at the very top in like a paragraph, 1 or 2 sentences, and hopefully they'll read them, but they're going to skip past a lot of this. But it's still amazing experience. So keep it on there, just shorten it. Skills and endorsements, awesome. Love that you have writing, editing, curriculum development. Now here's the cool thing, guys. As you start growing your connections, so let me look at April. Okay, April and me are third-party connections, okay? So that means me and April have not yet connected on LinkedIn, which is the case for a lot of people that I work with. We're not yet connected. What I would recommend for April to do is send me a connection request. If once we get connected and if I'm looking at your profile, I can now go in here and I can endorse you for some things. Like I could endorse you for writing. And by the way, guys, let me mention this. I know this is kind of we're going into super nitty gritty details here. When I do profile reviews, I go into even more detail. This is just me kind of brushing the surface. With April, I would say I don't want to just see writing. I want to see, like, is there technical writing? What type of writing? Let's get more specific. And same with editing. Like, writing and editing are so broad that it's hard for anyone to endorse you, because it's like, well, what does that mean? So get as specific as you can with your skills. Curriculum development's great, because that's just like, I know exactly what that is, but I could easily be endorsing you for all these right now. Okay, so make sure, let me just look at the other ones that you have. See, WordPress is great, Canvas, Microsoft Office, those are more your technical skills. This is what I'm talking about. Academic writing, that's what I'm saying. Like, I want project management, instructional design. I don't love social media and I don't love research. What type of social media? Is it social media management? What type of research? Okay, get as specific as you can, you guys, in your skills section. Accomplishments, awesome. Again, this is not a section. This is not the top 7. Okay, these accomplishments are not the top 7. Do not do this until everything else is fully built out. But April has a really good grasp on the rest of her profile, so accomplishments is great. I like that. And then notice all your interests. That shows up your list. If there's something in there that you're like, oh, I don't know, like if it would somehow be a turnoff to an employer, change it or add. The other thing too is you need to be following the company or any public profile figure pages that relate to the company or the position that you want. Okay, guys, I want to know in the chat, give me a yes if just me going through April's profile was useful for you. Give me a yes. And by the way, I got a new chair. It's not like my wobbly stool that I normally, I kind of like it. It's pink, if you guys can't tell. Don't know why I shared that, but give me a yes if that is, if just me going through April's profile was beneficial for you. I have a couple more that I want to go through as well. Let me see. And I know I messaged a bunch of you to say, I'm going to go through your profile. And I'm going to probably pick a couple more. Let me just see. Awesome. Good. I'm seeing a lot of yeses. Carla says yes. Johnny says yes. Shelly. Hello, Shelly. So happy you're here. Shelly says yes. Mark says yes. Gary. Good. Okay. So you guys are learning from these profile reviews. I'm so visual that, like, I need to always have someone tell me, like, step 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I also need to see it, like, on a screen. Like, how do I do this? Okay, Peter, if you're here, I'm going to jump into your profile, because I feel like there's a lot of people that are in Peter's same shoes, where let me pull his profile up. Peter's been in the same industry for a while. Okay, so let me pop this up. So Peter's been in the same industry for a really long time. I think he's had 45 years, and now he's looking for a new opportunity. Okay. So here's something again where you have to be really careful with your profile and how much you share, because again, Peter, and for anyone else that's been in the same industry for a while, we want to avoid age discrimination, which, by the way, is definitely a real thing. People may say that it's not, but it definitely is. So let's address Peter first of all. The open to work feature. Oh my goodness. Okay. Someone mentioned this earlier. I'm going to tell you, and anyone else that has this, take the open to work feature off. Now, I might have a different opinion of this in 2 months. I might have a different opinion of this in 1 month, but based on my research and based on my personal opinion, I don't love the open to work feature because it's so noticeable. Okay. Like, for example, am I sharing you? Yes. If I go back to April's profile, I'm focused on her and her beautiful face. But then if I go to a profile and I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool that they're open to work, but now it's like distracting to me. And now I'm wondering, well, what's their current situation? Did they get fired? Did they get laid off? Why are they open to work? Like, and then I start thinking of all these things. Where here's the thing, you guys, inside of LinkedIn, you can signal just recruiters or just hiring managers or just people that have the recruiter feature that are looking to recruit without showing the open to work feature. Now, I would love if there's any other LinkedIn experts in here watching this live stream or even watching the replay, if you have a different opinion. I love to hear other people's opinions, and I love to know what's working and what's not working. But for me right now, I just don't love it. Now, it could be something that catches on in a month and maybe people are more open to it and it seems more like the thing to do. And if that's the case, I'll tell you, and I'll tell you to change your profile and put that back on. But I would say don't have it on there, okay? Because you can still, in the back end, which by the way, I teach this inside of LinkedIn Profile Perfection, you can still go in and signal to recruiters you are open to work. You're just not signaling the entire world, okay? Or anyone else on LinkedIn. So let me just mention that really quick. Okay, let's see. Shelly says, open to work. I agree with you, Heather. I'm so glad. Peter, so glad you're here. Awesome. Well, actually, wait, Peter, this is the other Peter. Or maybe it's not. Peter, I'm pretty sure the one Peter that I'm talking to. Anyway, Peter's a very common name. Yes, Danny says, so should I remove it? I would definitely remove it. Let's see. Samantha says, if you remove the open to work feature, will not make you less visible to recruiters. Yeah, it's not going to make you less visible because here's the thing. You're going to go into the back end of your profile, which by the way, I show you how to do this in the program, and you're going to change just so that recruiters or hiring officials see your profile. Okay. Or excuse me, that they're flagged that you are open to work. You're just not flagging the entire world. I would love to know LinkedIn's thought process behind this. You know, and who knows, like, I know I could probably do more research on it, but I'm not loving it. Bridget says, I agree. I was hoping that wasn't showing up to the recruiters either. Yeah, if you have that feature on, it shows up to everyone, any of your connections. Okay, let's go through, Peter, let me give you some really good, solid feedback here on your profile. So Peter, what I would be interested to know is, I want to know what position you want. Like, that's where we have to start. So we have to start with like the exact job title, and then we go from there. So right now you have production coordinator in the graphic arts, pre-press, and printing industries. Here's the thing. We have to bring this up to date. So I wouldn't mention pre-press and I wouldn't mention printing industries, even though that might be the industries that you're going into. I want to see the terminology that graphic designers and graphic artists are using right now. Okay. And then once I know those terms, then I want to put those into your headline. So again, make sure you do a search on LinkedIn. In fact, you could just pop up into the search bar right here and you can do a search for whatever that job title is. Okay. Keep that in mind. That's kind of what you're looking at. Okay. I think once you get that tailored, I think that you're going to start seeing those opportunities come in. Now notice it says open to work and I can click on see all details and it gives me all this information. This is open to the general public. If you take that open to work feature off, it's only open to recruiters and hiring officials, which is who we want it to be open to. Okay. We don't necessarily want to flag the entire world about what we're doing. Okay, so same here, Peter. I love, first of all, that you have your bullet points. I would love to see career highlights or some sort of label or headline here so I know what that bullet point is, those bullet points are referring to. You say, I have been interested in graphic arts and printing industry since I was in high school. Here's the thing. I love that you're bringing in more personality, but I want to see, rather than I have been interested in, I like tell me your passion, your excitement for it right now. And then let's talk about the backstory further into your paragraphs, okay? Let's see. I got an art apprenticeship when I left school at 16. Again, let's talk about right now what's exciting you about the art industry. Like, for example, I'm a dedicated, driven production coordinator in the graphic arts industry. My my passion for graphic design stems from yada yada yada. Like, let's talk about right now. Even though I love that you are bringing in that storytelling feature and you're going back to when you were 16, but I want to know right now what's lighting the fire under you about graphic design or graphic arts. I love that you mentioned this. I've seen so much change and hope I will see many more. A friend once said to me, this is great. I love that you're like again, you have a really natural storytelling ability to you. I can tell just by reading this. I would love to see, though, like, just bring it up into what's happening right now. Okay. Does that make sense, Peter? If you're here, let me know. Okay. And then here you have been in the graphic arts and printing industry for 45 years. I want to know, like, all those 45 years, what are some of the coolest things you've done? So rather than telling me about your number of years of experience in the industry, tell me what's like the coolest thing you've done. Like, give me the 5 or the 3 coolest things that you've done. Let's get that in there. So for example, you say lettering and typography. Give me like a story behind that. Give me how you have that good knowledge, and give me that good knowledge of lettering and typography led to X, Y, and Z in your career. Does that make sense? I know this is very detailed about what I'm giving you, but I want to see just more accomplishment driven statements, I guess is what I could say. By the way, you have the expertise section. Love it, love it, love it. This is perfect. Make sure you have in here relevant terms that people are using right now today to describe graphic arts. Okay. Relevant terms that people are using right now to describe graphic arts. You have your email. I would pop email up into here so that I don't think you guys can see my mouse moving. I would pop your email up into your paragraphs. I guess you could probably put it under the career highlights. So the expertise is the very last section. And then I wouldn't just give the email, very similar to what April did. April, I'm going to pop back to your profile. Feel welcome to, or feel free to, contact me at yada, yada, yada. I would love to know whatever. Okay. Let's get that, like a statement more about that. Love it. Love that you have some activity in here. Let's see in plant. Sorry, I'm just reading this really quick. Okay, here we go. This is awesome. I love that you have the company linked because I can see their logo here. I would try and link all of these other companies because then the logo will show up on the left-hand side. If they do have a company page, if they don't have a company page, you won't be able to link their logo. But again, and the same thing I told April, I want to see, your greatest accomplishments here. I want to see, what did you do in this role that was so pivotal or that was so monumental or that was super cool. Okay. Give me, rather than just like, oh, this is, because this almost seems like something I'd have on my resume. Give me a little bit more character and personality. Okay. And then again, same thing that I told April, you don't need to go back any more than, 10 to 15 years. I get that you want to fill it in with some information, but this is where we can start using other sections in your profile to show like what you're doing right now and some of the things that make you the perfect fit for positions that we're hiring for right now. Does that make sense? Let me see if I can see Peter in the chat. Awesome. Dominic mentioned a comment that his open to work only shows only recruiters. Awesome. Good. That's what it should be. Let's see. Expertise. Eduardo asked a really good question. What about expertise section if I recently graduated from college? You know what? Here's the cool thing. I think college grads underestimate all the freaking cool stuff you do while you're in college. You're going to college because you're learning new skills and working with people and working on teams and projects and all this stuff. Go to a course description that you just took and like read out some of the things that they said that you learned in that class. Pop those into the expertise section. Remember, your expertise section, you don't have to be like this massive expert to put it in there. Okay. That's the direction you're going. And you hope one day to be a massive expert, but you can still pop things, keywords and keyword phrases in there without saying, oh my gosh, I had 20 years of experience in this. You don't need to have 20 years of experience in a thing. Good question though. Okay. Back to Peter really quickly on the education, Peter, I would take out the dates. Okay. So you have George Brown College. That's perfect. I would take the dates out. Okay. Cause that dates you literally, like that will date you. Take all the dates out and let's just have that in there. Just give me the certification. You could mention, if you wanted, a little brief description about the program or the degree or the certification if you wanted. Skills and endorsements. Okay, same thing here. When you say art, what type of art? Like, let's get very specific with that. And Peter, by the way, we should be connected, because I could easily be giving you some endorsements here, and I could show you guys exactly how that's done. So go in and add some more things that are related to the industry. I like that you have a streamlined list. I think you could add a little bit more here. I love that you're adding all the Adobe software programs, graphics, brochures. Layout to me is super general. Let's get more specific, okay? So think, Peter, what are the specific things that someone in your industry needs to know? And let's get those in there and get really specific with it. Accomplishments, fantastic. Can you give us any more detail on your photography course? Like, where was it from? You know, you don't even necessarily need to mention the time, but timeline would be good. Some key concepts that you learned in the course. Language, I don't even know if you need language on there. If you speak, I only speak one language. I don't have language on mine. My kids are learning French, so hopefully in time they can put French on their LinkedIn profiles, but I wouldn't put language on there. Interests, awesome, good. Make sure you're also following any company page that you might be wanting to apply for. Make sure you follow the page, make sure you follow some of the people, that kind of stuff. Awesome. Oh my gosh, so many good reviews. I think I'm going to do one more review. I know I have a list of others lined up, but we could be online together all day long, going through this. Let me just see. I want to also check on questions that you guys might have. Again, remember, let me pop this slide up one more time for you. LinkedIn Profile Perfection. We have, I think it's a 5-day or it's a 6-day VIP offer. By the way, I only do this workshop once a year, believe it or not, because we host so many other workshops about resume writing and interviewing and job searching and career transitioning and all sorts of stuff. I really only have time to fit this one LinkedIn workshop in once a year, which I love talking about LinkedIn. It's one of my favorite topics to discuss with my clients and my students. So this is like a one-time, we probably won't be offering this program again for another year. So if you guys want, I know a lot of you some of you might be in lockdown, some of you might be furloughed, some of you are kind of just like moving through the motions right now. Now is the perfect time for you to be beefing everything up, like getting that profile super optimized, connecting in the news feed, networking with people you know and networking with people you don't know. Like, there's so many little things that you should be doing right now, as we're all moving through this weird, what do you call this that we're all in? We're still stuck in the twilight zone, I like to say. But as we're all moving through this, now is the perfect time for you to do this. We won't offer this again for another year. By the way, this replay for this video is also going to be on a 5-6 day replay. So you can always jump in, look at all the tips that I shared, rewatch some of this stuff if you need to. ProfessorAustin.com/LinkedIn to enroll into LinkedIn Profile Perfection. Now is the perfect time to do this. So let's see. Awesome. So good. I'd love to see you guys coming through the door for this. Sue, hello. I'm so happy you're here. Sue says, oh, I got your email about this, Sue. Do you have any templates on how to respond back to a recruiter who reached out to me on LinkedIn in Mel? Yes, I do. I'll actually send you an email after this, Sue, so that you can have that template. It's a super simple one. Sue's actually in the process of her job search, and I think you had your interview yesterday. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for you, that you land this job because you're super qualified and probably the best fit. Okay, Juliana said 10 to 15 years back is difficult when I was a stay-at-home mom for a length of time. How do you manage this? Oh, this is such a good question. So, Juliana, I work with a lot of women that are transitioning back into the industry. They took some time off to raise their kids, and now they're like, you know what? When I was working, I had all these amazing skills, and now I want to get back into the field and I want to share my amazing skills. What you're going to need to do, Juliana, is really focus on, in those 10 to 15 years, what are some of the things that you've been working on? Like, and it could be volunteering, it could be the PTA, whatever that is. Don't focus on the actual, oh, I was in PTA, but focus on more of the skills that you learned about working with other people, being on time, being dedicated, learning to make decisions when no one could, or being able to follow direction. Being like, as a mom, you guys, I have 4 kids. You guys saw a picture of my kids. Being a mom is a full-time job. I just recently told my mom, because she comes here and helps me, she's our house manager. She comes and does the laundry. She helps clean up. She helps cook food. If she doesn't show up one day, our house literally falls apart. Okay. So as a mom, there's so many roles that you play and so many hats that you wear that you have to focus on. What are those skills that you learned? I will put money down that you put a mom into a workplace setting, she can multitask like nobody's business, okay? Because she's so used to doing that. And it comes natural and there's no thought about that. So that's what I'd focus on, Juliana, number 1. Number 2, I would really hone in on what is it that you want to do? What position do you want? And if it's something like that requires a new skill, where can you learn that new skill? How can you start developing your skill set so that you can show a potential employer or your future employer that you are qualified? And then the last tip I'm going to say on this, Juliana, is to network like crazy. Okay. I know that's one of the biggest things out there. Okay, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to do one more review. Oh my gosh. And I have a few. By the way, Kimberly, I did pop yours in. I think what I'll do for you, if you're still here, I'm going to do a review a little bit later for you. Okay. Kimberly's one of my longtime followers. I love her to death. She's actually, I believe you just landed a new job, but I know you want some feedback on your profile. So I'll try and jump in. I'm going to do CHERYL. So CHERYL, if you're here, hello. Let me pop in and do yours, because the reason why I wanted to do CHERYL's, again, open to work feature, make sure you change that if you're comfortable doing that, is that well, let me see. Did I put, I don't think I mentioned anything about her in my notes. She's sort of transitioning into like a business owner role. So she's kind of doing her thing, wanting to transition into business owner role. And I know a lot of you guys are out there doing that. And so I wanted to kind of give you feedback and some information on how to actually do that. So again, address that open to work feature. Here's the cool thing too, you guys, about what CHERYL did on her profile. And this is a new feature on LinkedIn. You'll notice there's a little speaker icon. This allows you, if you have a name that's hard to pronounce, it allows you to get your name in there so that if someone's looking at your profile and they want to connect with you, like how I know how to say her name is that I press that button and it tells me how to say her name. So if you have a name that's hard to pronounce, and I know LinkedIn has a huge international audience, so a lot of you do have hard to pronounce names, make sure you use that feature to its fullest. So, okay, so here's CHERYL. She says, multidisciplinary teacher and performing artist where authentic creativity and effective communication meet. Okay, I love that, CHERYL, that you're bringing your personality into the headline. What I would say here is I guess for me, I was confused at what position it is that you're going for, or who's your ideal viewer of your profile? And I would say speak to them. And not only that, and this is where LinkedIn gets a little bit tricky, is you also want to be found in search, okay? So for example, you guys, on my profile, I just barely, in fact, I don't love my headshot. I'm going to probably change that. I just changed it and I don't love it. I just barely changed my profile to say career strategy expert, where before it was career and I can't remember what it was, career and business coach. at professoraustin.com. But what I realized is there's so many people out there looking for someone to help them with resume writing or LinkedIn profiles or interview strategy, and they're typing that into the search box, and my profile's not popping up for them because I just say career and business strategy coach. So what I would say for you, CHERYL, is look at what are people typing in to find someone that does what you do. Like they're going to the search bar and they're typing in whatever. Okay. Are they typing in a performing artist? Are they typing in multidisciplinary teaching? What is it that they're typing in? And I would tailor your headline to that. Okay. Okay, about section. So the same thing here, what I'm going to mention, I love that you're, of course, giving us your email at the end. I love that you're giving, you're saying my foundation as a student of music, dance, acting, and modeling. I love this. This is really showing character. It's showing your personality. It's showing us who you really are. I love to see that in here. What I would love to see are some of the, like your greatest accomplishments, some of your projects that you've worked on. Now for you, because you're technically, I kind of think you might be moving to business owner, but tell me if you're here, CHERYL, in the chat, if I'm wrong about that. So for you, I don't know if I would say career highlights. So but you need some sort of headline to break it up. So again, if you look at my about section, notice the different headlines that I'm using. I'm saying, visit me on YouTube. Here are some of my free resources. Like that's what I want to see in your profile, because I want to see it broken up a little bit. I would also love to see this as in your expertise section. So give us an expertise section that says dance education, fitness, administrative. Well, and here's the thing. Let me address some of these. Fitness and administrative, that to me is so vague. What does that mean? Is it health and fitness? Is it fitness something? I don't know. And then administrative, what does that mean? Like, give me some more, I guess is what I'm saying. Like voiceover work, that's awesome. Mindfulness, that's awesome. Dance education, social media engagement, all that stuff is awesome. The other areas, let's get more specific with that. But other than that, I think that looks good. Let's see, group dynamics, classroom management, student engagement. See, all of these are really, really, really good. But again, let me tell you this, CHERYL, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do your profile, is I was confused between, is this like a business owner or is this an employee? And I think, and I had to do this, you have to tailor your profile to one or the other. And then the secondary section, whatever the secondary part is, it's still sprinkled in there. Okay. But I had to do this when I first started my business. I had to go from university teaching and all these schools and all them trying to hire me to do work to now I'm on my own, creating my own business. And now I'm appealing to the mass market and job seekers rather than university administration. So that was a tough change for me, but I feel like you're about there and you're almost about to make that change. So let me know if I'm wrong on that, but I think you've got a good sense of that. Go back to the slides where I talk about paragraph 1, 2, 3, and then your expertise section, and I would form your about section in that way. Love the featured work, super awesome. Especially that you have some YouTube things out there. That's amazing. Love your activity, dance instructor, super good. I'm not sure this says it's a flyer. I would love to see a little bit more information on this. So you have practical instructor for AFAS 218. I know that AFAS it's probably Africana Studies, I think. I would love to see you spell that out, because AFAS, that confuses me. I know that's the course number, but I would say spell that name of the course out and then in parentheses after it, put the course number. And then you say Introduction to Hip Hop Dance. Like, what techniques are you teaching? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about, some of the aspects of that dance that make it so unique and why you're teaching it. Like what about you makes you like the expert in that area? So add just a little bit to that. Actress, love it. Let's get some, I would get a paragraph in here. Again, I would do like 1 or 2 paragraphs on each of these sections about like some of the noteworthy things you've done. Give us just a little bit more. I want to learn just a little bit more about you because I'm already engaged by the top part. I now want to get in and know more about like all the other things. Give me just a little bit more detail. Same with virtual grammar coach. I love that. Virtual grammar coach for international education software for grade school students. Love that. Let me also ask you this. Is there a way you could quantify any of this? So when you say virtual grammar coach for international education software for grade school students, was there like a certain amount of students you coached? Did you get feedback on that? Meaning like, was there satisfaction scores? Was there groups that you coached? Like, give me some numbers and data. I love to see that kind of stuff. Same here, founder and creator of the dance program. I think that's awesome, but let's just give us a little bit more. Super cool. I love that. Looks like a commencement, an image. Okay, that's perfect. I would also consider, I'm not sure about the dates, having the dates on there for you. I don't know if you need them. I know this is super recent, so that would be the only reason why I would say to include the dates because this is recent. Is there anything you could give us about that? So let me just pop down to mine really quick because like I'm going into detail into the program, and the emphasis in there. If there's any way you could give us that, just any other additional information, that would be awesome too. Good. Licenses and certificates are good. Love the volunteer experience. Again, a little bit more. Give me like 1 or 2 sentences on each of these. And I know this is a little bit harder to think about, but I think you can do that. Okay, skills and endorsements. So you guys will notice here, she has dance education, performing arts, singer-songwriter. This is awesome. This is exactly what we want to see. Notice I could go in and I could endorse her. LinkedIn saying will help us identify the relevant opportunities. How good is Chazelle at dance education? I could go in, and then it also wants me to select my relationship with her. So that's kind of what your connections will see when they're going to endorse you. Okay. Accomplishments, awesome. Interests, awesome. I can see that you have a lot of the same interests that you listed up here. You have them inside that section. So good. I'm getting kind of winded. My voice, I'm going to lose my voice any second now. Okay, any last minute questions, you guys? Let me know if you're still here with me. Give me a yes in the chat if you learned from these LinkedIn profile critiques. Also, from that massive amount of content we just covered. Oh my goodness, we covered so much. Remember, I hold this workshop about once a year. We do an offer for LinkedIn Profile Perfection about once a year. So if you are interested in getting into that program, make sure you jump in. I would also love, as you're signing off today, what was your biggest takeaway from today's presentation? Your biggest takeaway, type that in as well. We will have a recording. Will be on replay. So you'll be able to access this replay after we finish here today. It will be up for a couple more days. Nancy says, entire session is excellent. Awesome. Good. I'm so glad. I see a lot of yeses for all of you guys in here. Alexandra asked, what are the best photos for the header, not the profile? Oh, this is such a good question. I have an entire section on just that photo in LinkedIn Profile Perfection. I would say pick something that's industry specific. I would also say pick something that's not too busy. Keep it simple. Keep it to the point. You don't want it to distract from the rest of your profile. Samantha says, still here. So glad, Samantha. Learning a lot. Juliana says, yes. So good, you guys. Juliana says the top 7 areas for skills and endorsements. Yes. Marcia says, your class helped so much. I'm so glad. So good, you guys. Normally, I do a lot of live trainings here on my channel. So again, if you liked this training, give the video a big, huge thumbs up. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, make sure you subscribe. We do a lot of these trainings over time, and I do also release at least one video a week just to help you in your job search. So thanks you guys so much for coming. I can't wait to be welcoming in a lot of amazing professionals into LinkedIn profile perfection. And if at the very least, this presentation should have helped you get a good head start on your profile. Let us know if you have any questions, and we'll be sure to address them in the comments down below after we end this live stream today. And you guys, we will be in touch. It was so awesome to connect with you today. Everyone, enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope I will be able to have contact with all of you soon.